A very good morning. It's past 8 this Tuesday morning. We're back again with another edition of Breakfast News. Just 2 days left in the years, or less than 72 hours for this particular year 2020 to come to an end. And we are living in a new normal where things have changed drastically from the time we began the year 2020 as we reach the fag end of the year. You know, staying connected online is becoming the new normal for each and every one of us, and that's going to be a daunting task as we head into 2021. Are things going to change? Lots to look forward to. Well, over the next 60 minutes, we'll get you all that matter in the world of news, in the world of politics, business, sports and entertainment. Also a look at COVID and the vaccine that's spreading and the vaccine cure that many people are injecting all across the world. Well, we'll take a look at all that. I'm Anil Thomas. With me, my co-anchor this morning, Nancy Kohli. Nancy, good morning.
Good morning, Anil. How are you doing this morning?
Well, doing okie dokie.
Okay, but we do hope that, the next year is only better and nicer for all of us as far as COVID-19 vaccination is concerned, and a lot more good things really to look forward to. On that note, let's begin the show and take a look at the headlines.
Prime Minister Modi to inaugurate new Bhaupur, new Khurja section of Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor in Uttar Pradesh via video conferencing. Built at a cost of Rs 5,750 crores, the section will open new vistas of opportunity for the local industries.
Amidst about 300 farmer delegations extending their support to the new farm reform laws, the next round of talks between the government and the agitating farmers on 30th December, 4 contentious issues on the agenda of the talks.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi flags off the 100th Kisan Rail from Shangola in Maharashtra to Shalimar in West Bengal via video conferencing. Listing the benefits of Kisan Rail, Prime Minister calls it a game changer in ensuring fast transportation of agriculture produce across the nation.
Export ban on the onions lifted with effect from the 1st of January. In September, the government had prohibited the exports due to spurt in the prices.
First phase of dry run for coronavirus vaccination being conducted in Andhra Pradesh, Gujarat, Punjab and Assam. Continuous drop in the number of COVID-19 active cases in the country. Home Ministry extends the November guidelines for surveillance, containment and caution to 31st of January next year.
The world continues to combat COVID-19. Pfizer to complete the supply of COVID-19 vaccines to European Union by September. The US House approves $2,000 COVID-19 aid check sought by Trump, while China jailed citizen journalists for 4 years over Wuhan virus reporting.
And in cricket, India smelled victory on day 4 of the second test match against Australia as they get bowled out for 200 in the second innings. India needs 70 runs for victory to draw level in the 4-match test series. Well, those are the headlines at 8. Now for the stories in detail, starting first up with the top story. What do we have, Nancy?
Absolutely. Let's begin with the news on the dedicated freight corridor. While Prime Minister Modi will in fact inaugurate the new Bhaupur, new Khurja section of the Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor today, the Prime Minister will also inaugurate the corridor's Operation Control Center at Prayagraj. The section will open new vistas of opportunity for the local industries such as aluminium, besides decongesting the existing Kanpur-Delhi main line and also enable the Indian Railways to run faster trains. Here's a detailed report.
Tuesday will mark yet another milestone in ensuring seamless, fast and secure movement of freight in the country. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate the new Bhaupur, new Khurja section of Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor (EDFC) via video conferencing. During the event, Prime Minister will also inaugurate EDFC's Operation Control Center at Prayagraj. The 351-kilometer New Bhaupur, New Khurja section of EDFC is situated in Uttar Pradesh and is built at a cost of 5,750 crore rupees. The section will open new vistas of opportunity for the local industries such as aluminium industry in Pukrayan region of Kanpur Dehat district, dairy sector in Auraiya district, textile production block printing in Etawah district, glassware industry in Firozabad district, pottery products from Khurja of Bulandshahr district, asafetida or hing production in Hathras district, locks and hardware from Aligarh district. The section will also decongest the existing Kanpur-Delhi main line and will enable Indian Railways to run faster trains. A state-of-the-art operation control center at Prayagraj will act as the command center for the entire route length of the EDFC. The EDFC 1,856 route kilometer starts from Sahnewal near Ludhiana, Punjab and will pass through the states of Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and Jharkhand to terminate at Dankuni in West Bengal. It is being constructed by Dedicated Freight Corridor Corporation of India Limited, DFCCIL, DD India.
And let's now go across to our correspondent Arun Sharma, who's joining us with more updates as far as the freight corridor is concerned. Arun, good morning. This is going to be a big step ahead as far as benefiting the local industries like the aluminium industry and many other industries, especially in the Pukrayan region there. And of course, we mentioned about it in our report as well.
Good morning, Nancy. Good morning, Anil. Now, we know this fact that the focus of the government now is on, giving reform to the railway sector as well. Now, yesterday we saw a much needed the Kisan Rail that was flagged off in August.
Right.
That the 100th journey that was started yesterday, which is providing a faster movement to the farmers' produce. So now the focus is on how the freight movement can be made faster. We know this fact that this is going to benefit the local industries which are established in various districts. And Uttar Pradesh is running one initiative that is known as One District, One Product. That means in every district there is one product that the Uttar Pradesh government is marketing as of now. So when we talk about this Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor, this will provide a bigger market to these local industries like aluminium industries, glassware industries. So all these local industries will get a bigger market. They'll be getting a faster access to the bigger markets via this Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor. Now, these, if you look at the Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor, so one section is going to be inaugurated today by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Now, this is a 351-kilometer New Khurja-New Bhaupur section. Now, this is usually a very congested road or route if you look at this way. Now, till now, what was happening that the freight movement was happening on the main line, where the passenger train movement was also happening and the freight movement was also happening. So the time taken by the freight for movement from one place to another was taking much more time because the passenger trains were also running on the same corridors. So now a dedicated freight corridor will be there in place from New Khurja near Delhi, in Delhi, and of course till New Bhaupur near Kanpur Dehat. So now this entire section will be decongested. A faster movement of goods will take place, and of course the local artisans, the local manufacturers will get a bigger market right from Punjab to West Bengal. So this is the entire length of 1856 kilometers dedicated freight corridor.
Okay, Arun, also considering that there is an operation control center and operation OCC that comes up in Prayagraj, does that make Prayagraj now the nerve center, especially when it comes to the Eastern corridor, Eastern freight corridor?
Oh, absolutely. That will be the hub as far as the freight, the Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor is concerned. Now, it is state-of-the-art, technologically marvel as far as this OCC is concerned. And if you look at this main center at the Prayagraj, it will be in a position to monitor entire Eastern Freight Corridor. So you look at this way, the speed at which the freight corridor movement will be happening will be at around 100 kilometers per hour, or they'll be utilizing the maximum speed of this freight movement as far as this entire Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor is concerned. So Prayagraj is at the center. There's a big video wall mounted as far as this dedicated this OCC is concerned. Now this will be in a position to monitor each and every freight movement. Number one, there will be integrated train management system as well. So how the management of the trains will be taking place from the Prayagraj as well. So it will be the main command center as far as the Prayagraj is concerned, and you can say that it will be the soul of this entire eastern dedicated freight corridor. So you look at this with once this entire eastern dedicated freight corridor is operational, 13,000 tons of freight can, the movement can take place on daily basis. 120 trains one way will be operational as far as this entire freight corridor is concerned. So look at the kind of goods, the parcel that will be in a position to travel from one place to another, and there will be less congestion as well as far as this entire corridor is concerned, because the trains will be utilizing their maximum speed. And of course, as far as the passenger trains are concerned, the decongestion will also happen on the main line as well. So the passenger movement will also become very much smoother and faster as well. So it's a win-win situation for the freight movement and for the passenger movement, and that's the reason why this dedicated freight corridor is going to reduce the logistical cost by up to 50%. So yes, the artisans will get a bigger market, and they'll be in a position to earn more money as well.
Okay, now Arun, purely looking at it from a cost perspective and also a time-saving perspective, how much does this particular line opening, especially this particular line that we are talking about, the opening of that, comes about as a, what would you say, a game changer, especially for those industries who are associated, who are banking on this particular corridor for the movement of goods?
So Anil, if you look at the working style of the government, what it is trying to do as of now, it is trying to provide bigger markets, be it the farmers, be it the local manufacturers, because it is the need of the hour that big markets and big ecosystems can be provided to the local manufacturers. So after the eastern dedicated freight corridor comes into force, it will be connecting Punjab till West Bengal. So you look at the way, the kind of route that it is going to transfers to. It will be passing through Jharkhand, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, and of course Punjab. So these are the states that will be connected to each other. There is again one more dedicated freight corridor. That's a western dedicated freight corridor that's also in place. It's a 1500 kilometer dedicated freight corridor that is going to be operational soon, which will be connecting from Dadri till Mumbai, the JNPT port. So look at this, where the government is providing big markets to the local manufacturers by these kind of initiatives, so that their products can reach very much on time. As I mentioned earlier, 120 trains will be running one side on a daily basis. They'll be having capacity to carry 13,000 tons of goods on daily basis. So that's the kind of capacity that these corridors are having. So and of course the logistical cost will come down by 50%. So as of now, if you were supposed to send a goods from one state to another, or primarily from eastern side to the western side, it used to take 7 to 8 days. Even if you used to send it via a freight a cargo, a train, it used to take 3 to 4 days. But now this will reach in 48 hours of time, and the logistical cost will come down by almost 50%. So the kind of money that the manufacturers, the goods manufacturers will be saving, the saving is equal to earning the money. So that's the idea of the government, to provide bigger markets, and of course the travel or the cargo movement should be cost efficient in nature, and that is what the government is focusing upon.
Okay. All right, Arun, thanks very much for joining us for the moment and sharing all those details and the perspective as far as the freight corridor is concerned. Thanks very much. Let's now move on and get you our next top story.
Well, moving to the farmers' protest story there, amidst about 300 farmer delegations from across the nation have extended their support to the new farm reform laws. The process of farm delegation meeting the union minister and declaring open support for the farm laws continues. Government continues to extend the initiation of dialogue with agitating farmers. Meanwhile, the 7th round of talks between the government and farmers will be held on Wednesday, that's 30th of December.
The process of farmer delegations from across the nation meeting the Union Minister for Agriculture and declaring open support for the farm reform laws continues, even as the 7th round of talks between the government and agitating farmers will be held on Wednesday. About 300 farmer delegations from across the nation extended support to the new farm reform laws at a function in New Delhi on Monday. Farmer groups from Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, Rajasthan, West Bengal, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, Jammu and Kashmir and several other states participated in the event. Centre reiterated that the government, under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, is committed to ensure the welfare of the farmers, and the laws are a decisive step in that very direction.
किसान हमारे देश का अन्नदाता है, किसान का सम्मान हमारे मन में है। जो कानून आए वो किसान की समृद्धि के लिए आए, जो कानून आए खेती को समृद्ध करने के लिए आए।
The farmers lauded the efforts of the government and requested that the momentum of farm reforms be continued.
कॉन्ट्रैक्ट फार्मिंग की बात मैं करता हूं। कॉन्ट्रैक्ट फार्मिंग कोई जबरदस्ती नहीं है, कोई नया काम नहीं है। देश के 15 प्रदेशों में किया जा रहा है। किसी किसान की जमीन नहीं छीनी गई। इस तरह की अफवाहें उड़ाने वाले लोग किसानों के मित्र तो नहीं हो सकते।
भारत वर्ष के किसानों की दशा और दिशा में सुधार होगा, उन्हें दलाली व्यवस्था से छुटकारा मिलेगा, उनकी फसल का उनको वाजिब मूल्य मिल सकेगा।
जो भी कानून आए हैं वो सब कानून सब ठीक है और इस कानून से कोई भी नुकसान नहीं है, ना किसी किसान को कोई नुकसान है। जो भी गवर्नमेंट पूरे देश के अंदर हो रहा है, गुमराह किया जा रहा है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है।
Meanwhile, the government on Monday invited 40 protesting farmer unions for the next round of talks on 30th December. The talks will be held on all relevant issues. Agitating farmer unions had made a proposal last week to hold the talks on December 29th. The government's invite follows the proposal made by the farmer unions. Agriculture Secretary Sanjay Agrawal has invited the unions for talks at 2 p.m. on 30th December. The talks will be held at Vigyan Bhavan in New Delhi. The letter says that the government is also committed to finding a logical solution on all relevant issues and has a clear intention and an open mind going into the subject. The talks will be held on all the 3 new reform laws, the issue of minimum support price, Commission for Air Quality Management in National Capital Region and Adjoining Areas Ordinance 2020 and the proposed Electricity Amendment Bill 2020. The government is hopeful that the talks will be productive.
जो बिल है इसके अंदर जो अच्छी बातें हैं निश्चित रूप से उसके बाद में भी अगर संशोधन की आवश्यकता है तो अगर वो बात कोई ऐसी रखेंगे अगर उसमें तो निश्चित रूप से उसको भारत सरकार विचार करेगी और बातचीत से ही हल निकलना है।
The farmers, on the other hand, continue to protest at the Delhi borders. With inputs from OP Yadav, DD India.
Now, Prime Minister Modi flagged off the 100th Kisan Rail from Shangola in Maharashtra to Shalimar in West Bengal on Monday. The Prime Minister listed the benefits of Kisan Rail. He said Kisan Rail has been a game changer in ensuring fast transportation of agriculture produce across the nation. It provides a seamless supply chain of perishable produce as well. There is more in this report.
छोटे किसानों को कम खर्च में बड़े और नए बाजार देने के लिए हमारी नीयत भी साफ है और हमारी नीति भी स्पष्ट है। किसान रेल सेवा देश के किसानों की आमदनी बढ़ाने की दिशा में भी एक बहुत बड़ा कदम है। जो रेल अभी तक पूरे देश को आपस में जोड़ती थी, वो अब पूरे देश के कृषि बाजार को भी जोड़ रही हैं, एक कर रही हैं।
With the wave of this green flag, farmers from Sangola in Maharashtra to Shalimar in West Bengal, as well as many states that fall en route, are now directly connected.
शुरुआत में किसान रेल साप्ताहिक थी, अब सप्ताह में 3 दिन ये रेल चलानी पड़ रही है। इतने कम समय में 100वीं किसान रेल, हमने बजट में ही इससे जुड़ी महत्वपूर्ण घोषणाएं कर दी थी। पहली किसान रेल और दूसरी कृषि उड़ान। किसान रेल में तो सरकार 50% छूट भी दे रही है।
Prime Minister Modi listed the benefits of Kisan Rail. It provides a seamless supply chain of perishable produce. Small and medium farmers also stand to benefit greatly as there is no minimum cap on freight.
इससे देश की कोल्ड सप्लाई चेन की ताकत भी बढ़ेगी। सबसे बड़ी बात यह कि किसान रेल से देश के 80% से अधिक छोटे और सीमांत किसानों को बहुत बड़ी शक्ति मिली है। इसमें किसानों के लिए कोई न्यूनतम मात्रा तय नहीं की गई है। अगर कोई किसान 50-100 किलो का पार्सल भी भेजना चाहता है तो वो भी भेज सकता है।
Via these trains, perishable items can be transported securely now. The train flagged off by Prime Minister Modi will reach West Bengal in 40 hours.
अब किसान रेल जैसी सुविधा से पश्चिम बंगाल के लाखों छोटे किसानों को एक बहुत बड़ा विकल्प मिला है और ये विकल्प किसान के साथ ही स्थानीय बाजार के जो छोटे छोटे व्यापारी हैं उनको भी मिला है। वो किसान से ज्यादा दाम में ज्यादा माल खरीद कर किसान रेल के जरिए दूसरे राज्यों में भी बेच सकते हैं।
Prime Minister Modi also recounted the steps taken by his government for farmers' welfare under PM Krishi Sampada Yojana. 6,000 projects have been approved, including mega food parks, cold chain storage infrastructure and agro-processing clusters.
कृषि से जुड़े जितने भी सुधार हो रहे हैं, इनकी सबसे बड़ी ताकत भी गांवों के लोगों की, किसानों की, युवाओं की भागीदारी है। नए कृषि सुधारों से कृषि से जुड़ा जो व्यापार कारोबार बढ़ने वाला है, उसके बड़े लाभार्थी भी किसानों के, ग्रामीण युवाओं के, महिलाओं के यही संगठन है। कृषि कारोबार में जो निजी निवेश होगा, उससे सरकार की इन कोशिशों को ताकत ही मिलेगी।
Whether it is value addition related processing units or boosting cold storage infrastructure, the Modi government sees these as priority areas.
किसान रेल के माध्यम से नागपुर के संतरे को, पूर्वांचल और आंध्र प्रदेश के अनंतपुर के केले को दिल्ली और कोलकाता तक पहुंचाया जा रहा है। खेती करने वाले किसानों को बड़ा बाजार मिला, बेहतर कीमत भी मिली और उनकी आमदनी भी बढ़ी है। किसानों के साथ साथ उपभोक्ताओं को भी इसका बड़ा लाभ मिला है।
These farmers aptly sum up how Kisan Rail is a game changer.
12 घंटे से पहले पहुंच जाता है, ट्रेन का भी भाड़ा कम लगता है।
माल फ्रेश मार्केट में पहुंच रहा है, जो रेट है उससे 20% ज्यादा रेट अभी मिल रहा है।
मोदी साहब ने किसानों के लिए बहुत काम बढ़िया किया है। रेल से जब जा रहे हैं तो सब सेफ्टी जा रहे हैं, उसको थोड़ा ज्यादा भाव मिल रहा है।
कम रेट में जा रहा है। ट्रक से माल जाता था तो ट्रक चोरी होता था।
और देश के कोटि कोटि किसानों को अनेक अनेक शुभकामनाएं देता हूं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
With Sudhakar Das and Yogesh Sheetal, Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, the government on Monday lifted the export ban on all varieties of onions with effect from 1st January next year. In September, the government had prohibited the exports due to spurt in prices. The Directorate General of Foreign Trade has said in a notification that the export of all varieties of onions has been made free with effect from the 1st of January 2021. The DGFT, an arm of the Commerce Ministry, deals with exports and import related issues.
Now, on the second day of his two-day visit to Qatar, the External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar held meetings with the top officials and the ministers of the nation. In the engaging day, Dr. S. Jaishankar stressed on the importance of the India-Qatar ties and discussed strengthening of bilateral economic and security cooperation.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, on his second day of visit to Qatar, called on senior leaders of the Qatar government and discussed various issues of mutual interest between India and Qatar. Dr. Jaishankar called on Prime Minister and Interior Minister of Qatar and thanked him for the care given to the Indian community during COVID times. He also discussed strengthening of bilateral economic and security cooperation. The EAM also called Tamim bin Hamad, the Amir of Qatar, and handed over a personal communication from Prime Minister Narendra Modi to him. On his meeting with the Amir, the External Affairs Minister in his tweet said, and I quote, "Deeply value warm sentiments for the Indian community, impressed by his vision of taking our partnership to a new level." Dr. S. Jaishankar also called on Father Amir Sheikh Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani. He tweeted that his leadership continues to guide India-Qatar relations, appreciated his insights on global and regional developments. The External Affairs Minister also held talks with his Qatari counterpart and the Deputy Prime Minister of Qatar. He called his meeting productive and said both the sides reviewed the entire gamut of the growing partnership between the two nations. Both the sides also discussed regional and multilateral developments. He said that he is looking forward to welcoming him to India for the Joint Commission meeting. Dr. S. Jaishankar also visited Ahmed bin Ali Stadium at Al Rayyan. The Indian company L&T has been developing the project with their Qatari counterpart for the upcoming FIFA 2022 World Cup. He congratulated Larsen & Toubro and their Qatari partners on the impressive project. He said that it has enhanced India's reputation for quality and delivery and extended best wishes to Qatar for FIFA 2020 World Cup. On Sunday, the External Affairs Minister attended the India-Qatar Business Roundtable. While interacting, he appreciated the commitment for strengthening business partnerships with India. He also interacted with the Indian community virtually. Lauding the Indian community, the External Affairs Minister said that the community members have helped in establishing the image of India in the region.
The community here took very good care of itself in the best sense of the term. That, whether it was charter flights that you helped arrange or the Vande Bharat missions for which you did the organization at your end, I think it is a source of not just satisfaction but a pride for us that our community organizations and our community leaders have really worked together and managed what has been a very difficult situation from away from the homeland. So a big thank you on behalf of the Indian government from me to all of you.
Dr. S. Jaishankar also thanked the local government for helping the Indians in difficult times and the people of Indian community for handling the situation in bad times. DD India.
Army Chief General M.M. Narwane held talks with Chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff of Republic of Korea, General Won, during his 3-day visit to the country. Both officials discussed avenues for enhancing India-Republic of Korea defense relations. Army Chief also interacted with South Korean Minister of Defense Acquisition, Planning and Administration, Kang Hoon-ho, and exchanged views on defense cooperation. Earlier, General M.M. Narwane paid tributes to the martyred heroes at the National Museum and the War Memorial in Seoul.
Now, the Home Affairs Ministry has issued an order on Monday to extend the earlier guidelines for surveillance, containment and caution up to 31st of January next year. While there has been a continuous decline in the active and the new COVID-19 cases, there is a need to maintain surveillance, containment and caution, keeping in view the surge in the cases globally and the emergence of a new variant of the virus in the UK. Accordingly, containment zones continue to be demarcated carefully. The prescribed containment measures should be strictly followed within these zones. The COVID-19 appropriate behavior has been promoted and strictly enforced, and the standard operating procedures have been prescribed in respect of various permitted activities followed scrupulously.
Well, with the target to roll out the COVID-19 vaccination drive in India in the beginning of 2021, the first phase of dry run for coronavirus vaccination is being conducted in 4 states: Andhra Pradesh, Gujarat, Punjab and Assam. 2 districts in each of these 4 states will assess their preparedness in 5 different types of medical settings: district hospitals, community and public healthcare centers, urban and rural areas and private facilities. Dry run is aimed at testing the planned operations and the laid out mechanisms for COVID-19 vaccination in the state. It will provide insights into any gaps or bottlenecks so that those could be addressed before the commencement of the actual drive.
Now, the Union Territory of Ladakh will get its own Med Centre today. The Union Earth Sciences Minister Dr. Harshvardhan will virtually inaugurate the newly established Indian Med Department for Ladakh. The Indian Met Department will have 4 automatic weather stations operating in Leh, Kargil, Dras and Stakna. The real-time weather information from these stations will be available online for every 15 minutes and hourly basis through the Met Department's website. The new Met Centre will provide all the information relating to weather and the climate for entire Ladakh region, including the far-off places like Changtang, Nubra, Zanskar, Zojila and Dras. Earlier, the Indian Met Department in Srinagar was dependent of the defence establishments in Ladakh for weather readings in the vastly spread region.
ये एक यूनिक कहते टोपोग्राफिकल फीचर है यहाँ का। कोल्ड डेजर्ट है, रेड शेडो एरिया में आता है। भारत मौसम विज्ञान विभाग ने एक नया सेंटर यहाँ एस्टैब्लिश किया और जैसा कि आपको मालूम है कि तरह तरह के यहाँ पर मिथोलॉजिकल हैजार्ड्स हैं, यानी कि आपको भारी वर्षा भी हो सकती है, उसके साथ साथ लैंडस्लाइड हो सकते हैं, क्लॉफ जो है आपका ग्लेशियर लेक आउटबस्ट हो जाता है, उसके लिए तो इन सब चीज़ों का जो पूर्वानुमान और चेतावनी जो है बेहतर होगी और जिसके चलते जो है प्लानर्स जो है उसको अपने मतलब जो बेटर मैनेजमेंट कर पाएंगे और जान बचा सकते हैं। साथ साथ जो हमारे टूरिस्ट हैं और हमारे जनरल पब्लिक है वो इस मौसम की पूर्वानुमान और चेतावनी से पूरा फायदा उठा पाएंगे। टूरिज्म को बढ़ावा मिलेगा, एग्रीकल्चर को बढ़ावा मिलेगा।
Well, moving to some weather news now. According to the Met Department, under the influence of western disturbance, scattered rainfall, snowfall is very likely over Jammu Kashmir, Ladakh, Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand today. Cold wave to severe cold wave conditions very likely to in many places in Uttarakhand, Punjab, Haryana, Chandigarh, Delhi, with a fall in minimum temperatures by 3 to 5 degrees Celsius during the next 3 days. The Weather Department also forecasts dense to very dense fog in Punjab, Haryana, Chandigarh and the national capital Delhi. The IMD has issued warning till the 1st of January as North India will be under the spell of cold wave conditions for the next few days.
And let's now move on to our next segment, getting you all the news from across the nation in across the globe. And beginning first with a look at the updates on COVID-19 from across the world. The virus has infected more than 8 crore 16 lakh people, while over 5 crore 77 lakh have recovered from COVID-19 worldwide. The number of lives lost due to COVID-19 stands above 17 lakh 80,000. The US remains the worst affected from the virus. It has registered more than 1 crore 97 lakh cases of COVID-19, with fatalities crossing 3 lakh 43,000.
Well, the current stay-at-home orders are likely to be extended in the U.S. state of California. The governor of California, Gavin Newsom, said in an announcement regarding the same can be made later in the day after his medical advisors announced their projections for the next 4-week period based on today's data collection. The United States is currently seeing a surge in the cases of COVID-19, with California emerging as the epicenter. In the last 14 days, around 3,238 people have died due to the virus, with most of the deaths being above 61-year-old. Newsom said that the numbers are expected to rise as a number of people ignore travel advisories. Amid this, experts expect the middle of January to be a pretty rough time for the hospitals.
In Spain, the death toll due to COVID-19 has crossed the 50,000 mark on Monday to reach 50,122. However, the number of infections per 100,000 people fell for the first time in nearly 3 weeks. Now, according to the first set of nationwide data released by Spain's health ministry, a total of 24,462 new cases were logged since 24 December, bringing the total to nearly 1.88 million. The death toll rose by 408 in the last 7 days to 50,122. That showed the data released since the start of the vaccination against the virus. The incidence of the virus measured over the past 14 days slipped to 246 cases per 100,000 people from 263 cases on 24 December after climbing steadily from a low of 189 cases on 10th December. Amidst this, the Spain's health minister said the country will receive 3,69,525 vaccine doses today after Pfizer postponed the delivery of a new batch of the COVID-19 vaccine to Spain by 1 day.
The European Union has said that the distribution of initial 200 million doses of the COVID-19 vaccine developed by Pfizer and BioNTech will be completed by September 2021. Meanwhile, EU spokesperson has further said that talks were underway to agree the delivery of further 100 million doses, which are optional under the contract sealed. Most EU countries began inoculating healthcare workers and vulnerable people on Sunday with the Pfizer vaccine, which is the only authorized vaccine in the 27-nation bloc. The bloc has also signed advance purchase agreements with AstraZeneca, Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, Sanofi and CureVac for a total of nearly 2 billion doses.
Now in Germany, some districts have decided not to use the COVID-19 vaccine received over the weekend on the suspicion that the cold chain could have been interrupted during its delivery. The vaccines arrived in Lichtenfels and 6 other northern Bavarian districts on Saturday were not packed in especially designed cool boxes. The temperature loggers in some cases showed interim temperatures of up to 15 degrees Celsius, while the vaccine must be kept at 2 degrees Celsius to 8 degrees Celsius to remain effective for up to 5 days. Now, after consulting with the Bavarian Health Ministry, the district decided not to use the 1,000 shots earmarked for use in that district, as well as Coburg, Kronach, Kulmbach, Hof, Bayreuth and Wunsiedel, also in northern Bavaria.
Israel's centralized health system has administered 280,000 shots, the world's fastest rate since the beginning of the vaccination in the country. The opening of a 24/7 vaccination stations is under consideration, which would enable administering both the first and follow-up shots to the elderly and other vulnerable groups by the end of Jan. The elderly and the vulnerable groups make up a quarter of Israel's 9 million citizens and have accounted for 95% of its COVID-19 deaths. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu wants the daily rate doubled to 150,000 shots by next weekend. Israel began the third coronavirus lockdown on Sunday as they ramp up vaccinations to a pace Prime Minister Netanyahu said may follow an emergence from the pandemic in Feb. Israel has logged almost 4 lakh COVID-19 cases and 3,200 deaths.
In Belgium, a 96-year-old care home resident has become the first person in the European nation to receive the COVID-19 vaccine on Monday. Belgium began its COVID-19 vaccination program simultaneously across its distinct regions, with the elderly care home residents in Flanders, Wallonia and Brussels the first to receive the shots. In Wallonia too, a 102-year-old care home resident received the first shot of COVID-19 vaccine. The first vaccinations were part of a pilot, with the full rollout expected from the 5th of January.
Well, COVID-19 pandemic is a wake-up call, experts from the World Health Organization said during their final news briefing on Monday, and said that scientists are learning now how to do things in a better way. The executive director of the WHO's Health Emergencies Program, Mike Ryan, said that the already severe pandemic can be followed by other infections. The comments came as some parts of the world face the mutation of the virus. Calling it a wake-up call, Ryan said that the world is now learning how to make better use of science and technology. WHO technical lead on COVID-19, Maria Van Kerkhove, said that the world cannot lose the battle now. She called for a more resolve to end the pandemic amid the cases of the new strain of the virus. Such pandemics can be controlled by taking all necessary measures, she added.
And with that, let's move on now to our next segment to get you all the news from the World Wide Web in our segment, The Web Review.
Well, let's get on board our colleague Preeti, who joins us with the Web Review.
Good morning, Preeti. Just take us through what you have for our viewers this morning.
Good morning, Nancy. Good morning, Anil, and a warm good morning to all our viewers. When we talk of what all has been published in the web portals, most of these are leading with the progress on the next stage of talks between the farmers and the centre. I have not taken that. I'll begin with the Hindustan Times. The first slide up on your screen says Army Chief General Naravan leaves to South Korea on a 3-day visit, and the Army Chief will hold talks with South Korea's administration, civil administration, and also military leadership during this visit. That is from December 28th till 30th December. Now, also, this is the 5th foreign country which the Army Chief will be visiting during the COVID pandemic, or after that, in fact. It is Nepal. The first was Myanmar, Nepal, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and now South Korea. On your screens also, there is a brief idea of the engagements which the army chief will have with the military and the civil leadership there in South Korea. He will be laying the wreath at National Cemetery and War Memorial at Seoul. He will also call on Korean Defense Minister, the army chief, the chairman of the joint staff there, and also Minister of Defense, Acquisition Planning, Administration. And that is the gist of the visit of Army Chief General M. Narayanan. The next slide up your screens is from the Quint. The Quint carries a very interesting report, in fact a video which talks of the dry runs. Now we know that the country is holding dry runs. 4 states in the country will be holding the dry runs of the COVID-19 vaccine: Punjab, Assam, Andhra Pradesh and Gujarat. It has in detail brought out some questions, some queries regarding the dry run. And on your screens, I have put forth 2 of them. Will the vaccine be used in the dry run? It says that no, only the vaccination part will not be used in the dry run. The original vaccine will not be used in the dry run, but what will the dry run then include? It will include registration of the beneficiary and CoWIN, the platform that will facilitate the vaccination, testing and allocation of vaccination site, process to be followed at the site of vaccination, testing, cold storage and transportation arrangements. Now this is what is to be done in the dry run. Added to that, the government had also issued SOP regarding how to conduct these dry runs, and this will include it will be a team of 5 officers, and the first officer will be facilitated with 5 other medical staff members who will be aiding him in the process of giving the vaccination. Added to that, the second officer will be in charge of security. The third officer will verify the documents, and the fourth and the fifth officer will be responsible for crowd management and tackling the queries of the people. So in a nutshell, this is about the dry run which has been put forth by the Quint. It also carries a video also on that. The next slide up this morning on your screens is coming in from Times of India. The Times of India says Sensex surges 380 points to settle at fresh closing high, and Nifty ends at 13,873. On your screens, we have the details also. 47,407 was the intraday high of the BSE Sensex, and also it finished at 380 points high. SBI, Titan, Larsen & Toubro, IndusInd Bank, Ultrasemco, Kotak Bank and Asian Paints were the top gainers, and also 26 out of 30 stocks finished in green. And with that, the next slide I pick up is Tech2. Coming in from Tech2, it says Indian short video apps like Josh, Chingari capture 40% of the TikTok India's market share. Now, as per their report, it says that after TikTok has been banned, India, as we know, is the highest content consumer per user. The average time which is spent in India on a smartphone is 288 minutes, and 54% of this time is devoted to content. So also on your screens we have the details of that as well. Also it says internet users are presently at 600 million, and in the next 5 years the internet user market is expected to grow to 900 million users, is what the report says. And it also says the MAU, that is the monthly active users, and daily active users is about 70 to 75 million and 30 to 35 million respectively on these apps. Leading these apps is Josh in particular, that is mentioned by the paper. With that, that's it.
Well, thank you, Preeti, for those updates. There are some stories that we surely missed there in our bulletin. Thank you and appreciate you joining us. We're not going to keep you waiting. You go ahead and do your daily course while we continue with the stories ahead and shift focus to now taking a look at all the stories from the world of business.
And the Finance Ministry has released the 9th weekly installment of 6,000 crore rupees to the states as back-to-back loan to meet the GST compensation shortfall. Now, out of this, an amount of 5,516 crore rupees has been released to 23 states and with Legislative Assembly. The remaining 5 states, Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland and Sikkim, do not have a gap in the revenue on account of GST implementation. A total amount of 54,000 crore rupees has been released so far to all the states and the union territories with legislation. This is in addition to additional borrowing permission of 1,06,830 crore rupees granted to the states.
Well, U.S. House of Representatives voted to increase the second round of federal direct payments and approved $2,000 stimulus COVID-19 relief checks to meet President Donald Trump's demand. The measure would boost the stimulus checks in the year-end coronavirus relief and government funding package to $2,000 from the existing $600. The vote came a day after Trump signed the more than $2 trillion pandemic aid and a full-year government spending bill into law. The House passed the payment in a fast-track procedure with just enough support to meet the two-third threshold needed. The chamber approved the measure in a vote that was 275 to 134. The measure will now head to Senate. Senate for months has stressed over the increased government spending and are likely to oppose the measure despite Trump's demands.
And let's now move on to our next segment, get you all the news from the world of sports in Sports Track.
Well, India chased a 70-run target to draw level in the 4-match test series against Australia in Melbourne. India, in reply, have got off strongly. India reaching 33 for the loss of 2 wickets. 2 wickets to fall. The opener there, 2 wickets to fall for India there at this point of time as we speak. Ajinkya Rahane and Shubham Gill there in the middle. India losing 2 wickets there. Cheteshwar Pujara as well as Mayank Agarwal going pretty early in the innings, not able to make much of a contribution. Mayank Agarwal scoring 5 while Cheteshwar Pujara going for 3. Cummins and Stark, the bowlers, to pick those wickets. Earlier, Australia were bowled out for 200. This is the first time that Australia has reached 200 in the innings. The bowler or the wrecker-in-chief, Mohammad Siraj, who picked up 3 wickets, while the other bowlers who got 2 wickets, especially in the Australian innings, all 3 bowlers there getting 2 wickets each, except for Umesh Yadav, Ravichandran Ashwin, Ravindra Jadeja and Jasprit Bumrah picking 2 wickets each. The only cause of concern, Umesh Yadav picked 1 wicket, bowled just 3.3 overs. He's got a calf muscle tear and is likely to miss the test match, and there is a shadow of doubt over his fitness for the next test match that is scheduled to take place in Sydney, but likely to see a change of venue and being played in Melbourne. Well, for more on the story, we've got our correspondent Narayan Singh joining us this morning. Narayan, good morning. Narayan, give us a sense exactly on this particular test match. Almost looks certain to be heading into India's pocket. And how do you see the test series ahead now that, we are looking at a probable result of a 1-1, 1-1 score line as we head into the third test match?
Good morning, Anil. First of all, exciting contest of bat and ball going on at the MCG here. Today in the morning, India need to take 4 wickets and they took it. And the first thing is that India showed a disciplined bowling attack. Apart from that, Indian team showed up patience. They didn't went for the experiment in the morning with the old ball. They didn't go for Yorkers. They didn't go for experiment. Despite of that, they waited, and when the new ball came, Indian batsmen went for the short balls, and today the 4 Australian wickets fell. 3 of them were on short balls. A great strategy here. We can see that Indian team is for every player they have a plan, but we can say that the Australian tail-enders also show resistance. They added 67 runs in the morning. It's we can say that a commendable task by the Australian tail-ender also.
Okay, commendable task by the Australian tail-enders there as they whacked for a pretty long time. India needed the new ball to come good, and then Mohammad Siraj along with Jasprit Bumrah getting their breakthrough, and Mohammad Siraj picking up 2 along with Ashwin bagging that final wicket. Thank you and appreciate you joining us, Narayan, with those updates there on the test match in Melbourne.
And let's move on now. Well, the beginning of 2020 allowed just a little over 2 months of usual sporting action until mid-March. But despite the COVID-19 pandemic, it has still been another astonishing year of sporting drama. From title transfer Liverpool and Lewis Hamilton to Novak Djokovic's US Open disqualification and the ban on Russia from Tokyo Olympics. while 2020 also retirements of two much-loved Indian cricketers MS Dhoni and Suresh Raina in a span of a few minutes. Now it's time to reflect on the highs and possibly a few lows over the past 12 months gone by.
For sports lovers around the world, 2020 has been a major turn-off. The sports calendar went for a toss thanks to the COVID-19 pandemic. Almost all the major events were either cancelled or postponed. The 2020 Summer Olympics to be held in Tokyo was one of the major sporting events to be called off. After much speculation, it was announced that the 2020 Olympics would be postponed to 2021. Maharashtra maintained its supremacy in the Khelo India Youth Games, improving upon its last year's performance and finishing at the top of the table with a massive haul of 256 medals, comprising 78 gold, 77 silver and 101 bronze. Chess history, winning the first gold medal in the Olympiad after they were declared joint champions with formidable Russia in an anticlimactic end to the event played online due to the COVID pandemic. Much to the surprise of his fans, India's World Cup winning captain MS Dhoni announced his retirement from international cricket on the 15th of August. Posting a video on Instagram, Dhoni, who last donned the blue jersey against New Zealand in the 2019 ICC World Cup 2019 semi-final, thanked his fans for their love and support while announcing his retirement. In an unprecedented first, the Sports Ministry awarded as many as 5 Khel Ratna honours this year, which included cricketer Rohit Sharma, wrestler Vinesh Fogart, para-athlete Mariyappan Thangavelu, Monica Batra from table tennis, and women's hockey team captain Rani. Argentinian football legend Diego Armando Maradona, one of the greatest players of all time, passed away after a heart attack. He was 60. Bayern Munich won the UEFA Champions League 2019-20 title, defeating Paris Saint-Germain 1-0. This was the 6th European Champions League title for Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich striker Robert Lewandowski was named Men's Player of the Year at FIFA's The Best Awards ceremony in Zurich. Rafael Nadal won his 13th French Open title, crushing Novak Djokovic in straight sets in the 2020 men's finals. With another clay court trophy, Nadal has matched Roger Federer, his longtime rival, with 20 Grand Slam titles. Osaka won her 3rd Grand Slam title in the US Open with a brilliant comeback victory over Victoria Azarenka, but her success will be remembered as much for her impact off the court as on it. Russia's ban from all major sporting events after a doping scandal has been cut to 2 years by the Court of Arbitration for Sport. The ban still prevents Russia from competing in the Tokyo Olympics and Paralympics, set to be held next year, and football's 2022 World Cup in Qatar. British Formula One driver Lewis Hamilton has equalled Michael Schumacher's record after winning his 7th world title. Hamilton is now the most decorated racer the sport has ever seen, with more wins, more poles and more podiums than any driver who has gone before. Jehan Daruvala created history when he became the first Indian to win a Formula 2 race during the Sakir Grand Prix. A thrilling battle against F2 champion Mick Schumacher and Daniel Ticktum saw the 22-year-old Indian emerge on top in the support race of the season, ending Formula 1 Grand Prix.
And let's now move on to our health story of the day, and today we are focusing on cold weather that affects not only our joints, blood pressure, respiratory and cardiovascular system, but also affects our mood. So how to manage and overcome the winter blues? Let's take a look at this health report for today.
In the cold and foggy weather during winters, feeling low or having mood swings is quite common. Seasonal affective disorder, also known as SAD, is a repetitive pattern which affects many people during gloomy weather conditions.
The absence of daylight, sunlight, the reduction of activities, the cold climate everything affects not just psychologically and socially, but also through the biology. You will have total lack of interest in day-to-day activities, not feeling up to doing anything, negative thinking, keeping to the bed continuously, and neglect of obligations.
Young individuals and females are at higher risk of developing SAD. It can translate into feeling of sadness, lethargy, hopelessness, and loss of appetite. Problem may increase if not managed timely.
One of the good solutions for preventing as well as getting out of it, if one has got into negative mood state because of the winter season, is to increase interpersonal contact, meaningful interpersonal contact. Human relationships is the best antidote to seasonal affective disorder. It'd be good to avoid the chemical substances like alcohol and tobacco totally, or if at all, do it in controlled manner. It'll be good to get up early and go to bed early, maintain an active lifestyle, fight the temptation to become inert.
Exposure to sunlight, taking a nutritious diet and keeping busy during winters may be helpful in keeping your mood bright and cheerful. Kiran Bhardwaj, DD News.
Well, suffering from winter blues, you surely need to call up your loved ones and talk to them, because that could be the best cure even if you stay in bed.
Oh yes, absolutely. And with that, let's move on now and take a look back at the significance of this day in history.
It was on this day in 1904 that Padma Vibhushan Kuppali Venkatappa Puttappa, popularly known by the nickname Kuvempu, a Kannada novelist, poet, playwright, critic and thinker, was born. He is widely regarded as the greatest Kannada poet of the 20th century. He is the first among Kannada writers to be decorated with the prestigious Gyanpith Award. It was on this day in 1917 that Ramanand Sagar, film director, was born in Lahore, Pakistan. He is most famous for making the Ramayana television series starring Arun Govil as Lord Ram and Deepika Chikalia as Sita. This TV serial was then widely watched and liked across the country. It was on this day in 1942 that Bollywood actor Rajesh Khanna was born in Amritsar, Punjab. He is referred to as the first superstar of Indian cinema. It was on this day in 1972 that the foundation stone of the Kolkata Metro train project was laid by former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. It was on this day in 1975 that radical new legislation introducing a woman's right to equal pay and status in the workplace and in society came into force in the United Kingdom. The Sex Determination and Equal Pay Acts will prevent women being paid less than their male counterparts.
Well, time now to take a look at the weather on the satellite image, as also weather in your city. Well, there is a fall in the minimum temperature by 3 to 5 degrees Celsius over northwest India during the next 2 to 3 days, and a slight rise after that by 2 to 3 degrees. Cold wave to severe cold wave conditions over Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, Punjab, Haryana, Chandigarh, Delhi, North Rajasthan. During the next 2 days, cold conditions and cold wave conditions in isolated pockets thereafter. Also dense to very dense fog in isolated pockets over Punjab, Haryana, Chandigarh and Delhi in the morning hours, and over Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand and West Uttar Pradesh in the morning hours on the 30th, 31st and the 1st of January. Well, time now to take a look at temperatures in your city. Well, that's all we have time for. But before we leave, a quick update on the test match there. India 46 for 2, needing another 24 runs to win the test match in Melbourne. It's time for us to say goodbye. But before we say goodbye, we've got a campaign running for you, where we're requesting you to mask up as you step out of your house. That's called Mask Up India. So do not forget to wear your mask while we wear our mask as we step out of the studios.
Absolutely. Well, it's a simple task. Just wear your mask for your safety and the safety of your loved ones. And before we go today, we are taking you to Italy's Milan, where a rare heavy snowfall has blanketed the whole city. And well, as the New Year is just round the corner, the streets of Milan have turned pure white. We are leaving you with some of the glimpses. Take a look at those beautiful visuals. Stay good and take good care of yourself. Thanks for being with us.